Hey guys, this is John with the Alpha Channel update for Sunday, July 14th, 2024 here in Los Angeles. And let's start with the Wildwood Tarot. Actually, let's start with what I should be starting with every time. I'm here to promote 26 hours of free audiobooks here on YouTube, Legacy of a Mad Scientist and the Legend of Ashley Fox. These are stories about a kung fu superhero in the future of Los Angeles, anti-gravity city, and her father, who's like the world's leading scientific mind. Here on the YouTube for free for you to listen to on this channel. At the end, there'll be links. It'll be our logo and then one here and one here. They're 2 stories, 13 hours each. We also have a free comic book for you here as a PDF on YouTube. You can download it from our site, which is ashleyfox.ninja. The link is in the description here. Here's some of the colored artwork that we initially wanted to do 6 issues, but life got in the way. And I'm just showing this off to you guys every day to show you that this is what I'm about. I drew the thumbnails for this. A very good friend of mine took the thumbnails and ran with it and gave us this whole black and white issue. I found that I've got a bunch of the first few pages in color. I may get those put together at some point. It's not a priority right now. The other thing I like to show off, I want to show off again today, follow through in a picture. This PDF is here. It's in the description. This is the only, not the only, but the greatest single handout or piece of instruction that I got out of animation school. Really, just, I don't know what else to say. It worked for me. It was necessary for me. It was what I needed at the time. And I've never come across its source or more information of such value. I'd love to know what book it came out of, but I haven't been able to find it. So that PDF is here in the description. Next, we're going to do Wildwood Tarot. This is Hearn, the Horned God, or the Green Man. Here is the Hooded Man. This is the book that comes with the deck. There are 2 different decks you can buy with this. One of them does not come with the book. It's significantly cheaper. It's like $10 cheaper. I think this one is $25 and the one without the book is like $16 or $15. But I expected the cards to be as big as the box, and they're not. But I suppose that's to be expected. Not what I expected. I was hoping. I was stupid. I was a sucker. I'm a sucker a lot, I'm discovering. This is card number 2, the Seer. And you notice she's blind. I know that's very symbolic to have an oracle or a divine, diviner who is blind. It's a great card. The art is amazing. But it's significant too. It's very symbolic that the oracle is blind. Is that so she doesn't know the inner politics of the village or the community that she's doing divinations for? Or is it because she's so old that she's gone blind and she knows all the players and how they behave? A lot of times elderly people had cataracts. But this brings me to what I want to talk about. The seer and being blind and being taken advantage of or being a sucker. I feel utterly betrayed by the Marvel Comics style. Yesterday I watched a video, I talked about this in yesterday's video too, I think. And I watched the video after I'd read that day's comic, I believe, or right before. It didn't really matter. I was still in line to do Conan. But I'm going to take a break from Conan for a while. I'm not going to delve into the Marvel superheroes at all. I'm not interested. But what I'm really upset about is I spent a good 6 or 8 months writing for Marvel, sending them pitches through an editor who didn't work for them. He was just a go-between out here in Los Angeles. I never met him. It was all done by email. And I never met or knew the names of the editors that I was submitting to. And they were just idea farming. They were lying to me. I'm convinced of that now. I despise that entire corporation for a lot of reasons. But the biggest one I just heard is that even back in the 70s, part of this comes down to the unsustainable relationship between a writer and an artist. I had trouble with the artist who worked on my comic. He inserted, artists are artists. They go where the art takes them, where inspiration takes them, and if that takes them away from your script, they don't give a fuck. They're not interested in doing, they're interested in doing their art. And I understand that. So unless you are the writer-artist of a story, or unless you really have control of the story, your artist is going to take it and run with it and do whatever the hell he feels like. Especially if you're not paying him a lot of money. If you're paying them a lot of money, you can demand whatever you want. You can get all the changes out of them you want. But you ultimately, after Greg Capullo said the other day, he was on a panel with Scott Snyder. He didn't say this the other day. I saw it a couple weeks ago, and I'm sure it's months, if not years old. He was on a panel with Scott Snyder, and someone had asked how often he has to do changes. And he glared at Scott and said, "I don't do changes." And he meant it. And I understand. You know, there's a lot more writers than there are illustrators. I'm a much better writer than I am an illustrator. And there are a lot more writers than there are illustrators. It's simple. Everyone can talk. Everyone can come up with a story. And all illustrators are not created equal. I am an illustrator. I'm just not good enough or fast enough to do comic work. And I'm trying to up my game. I've focused most of my life on my writing ability. And then I was doing this comic, and my friend came along and literally demanded that I give it to him. He love bombed me and took the job and took it over. And at times was resentful, and at times was pissed off that he wasn't getting paid for it, and felt underappreciated and frustrated that I asked for things that he didn't want to do. But it wasn't his story. It's my story. It's my character. It's not his to take and do whatever the fuck he wants with. And the same thing goes for Roy Thomas and John Buscema. I have nothing against John Buscema. John Buscema is a great artist, and I'm sure the pair of them really made that work. But once you started mixing in different teams, and you give an artist a 2-paragraph synopsis and expect him, he's not. If you give some new artist who is not the guy who did How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, he doesn't have that 10, 15, 20 years of experience. You can't expect him to perform at that level. And when you bring in a new writer and ask him to fix the story in post after the artist has already done a shit job, you're only going to get more shit. I feel punched in the stomach by Marvel Comics. I feel lied to. I feel betrayed. And I've been thinking a lot about that, you know, about to mention other ways I feel betrayed right now. And a lot of it is prevalent in this comic. I decided that I wanted to read Gray instead of Conan. And so this is what we're going to go through today. Gray #1. This is the Viz Comics version. These are not the floppies. I believe this is 2 issues back to back. There's no ads. It's not 17 pages of comic and 10 pages of ads, the way Marvel is. All there is a foreword by Harlan Ellison. Harlan Ellison wrote the story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And that was stolen by James Cameron and turned into the Terminator. James Cameron had to pay a lot of money for stealing that from Harlan Ellison. This is Gray. This is inspired by Harlan Ellison's story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And it was originally released in, I believe the artist started drawing in the 70s. I think this was produced in the 80s. It was sold by Viz in '88. And you could buy it along with the cartoon. So that means this has already been completely published in Japan, and they released the cartoon. You can see up here, the cartoon is $115 back in the 80s. That's a lot of money back in the day. Now it's free on YouTube. I'll put it as a link in the description here. But we're going to go through all 9 of these. I have 9. I don't know how many there are. 9 would be 18 issues if they're all double. And I love this story. I read it again today. It's black and white, and I love it for what it is. I'm not going to flip through every page, but I am going to summarize it really quickly. Not really quickly. I'm going to take my time. Some of the art is absolutely incredible. It's all black and white. Ninja Turtles were black and white. The Tick was black and white. A lot of great art has been done in black and white. Here's Lip's helmet. When I first started learning how to skateboard, I went out and bought a red baseball helmet because of this book. I love this book so much. So this is Gray, also known as Gray Death. And he lives in a society where the only way to get out of the ghetto is to become a military soldier and go out on campaigns And the more enemy equipment you destroy, the more enemy soldiers you kill, the higher grade you get. And the higher grade you get, the quicker you move up to becoming a citizen. These people are not citizens. This is sort of like letting all of these savages into the United States and then allowing them to police the United States, which is what we're going to see here in just a little bit. And so this is Gray walking back after a campaign where he's the lone survivor. And then we immediately get a flashback. This book has flashbacks interspersed throughout the story. I really don't mind. So this shows Gray as a teen being beaten up by soldiers. And they're just bullies. They're telling him that we own this place, we own this town. Kind of like how Jews treat white people. You know, they just abuse them. And we own your culture. And so Gray has a girlfriend named Lips. And the pair of them are discussing what it would mean to become soldiers. She comes home one day after she's been beaten and raped by the soldiers in the town, and they're both sick of being just abused and exploited, and she's the first one to join the military. And so this is more, we flash back to Gray. He's still out in the desert. He's making his way back to his unit that's waiting for him. They've already waited more hours than they're supposed to. Here we have Lips again discussing how she can't stand it, and she needs an opportunity. She needs opportunity. And more flashbacks. This art is amazing. The flashbacks don't bother me because the art is so good. I didn't mind not knowing what's going on because, first off, it's kind of a cheat in that I know this story. I've seen the cartoon 100 times. I've never read the comic. I've already noticed changes. So back here in the first couple pages where Gray is getting beaten up by the bullies, in the cartoon, that's not him. In the cartoon, it's someone else that he doesn't defend. And it hits different. It definitely hits different. Because in the cartoon, he walks past a couple guys bullying someone and doesn't do anything about it. So yeah, in the cartoon, this scene right here is not Gray. It's another character, and he walks past him and steps over him on the way into his apartment. But what's really important about this book, aside from the dreadful situation that they live in, which is getting like any big city in America today, you know, you're surrounded by filth and drug addicts and third world savages attacking each other with machetes, people being robbed in their driveways. This is becoming realistic. We are all living in Detroit today. And so what happens is, this is Gray making his way back, and he comes across another soldier, and they get into a shootout, and Gray kills him. And then we have Gray back with Lips again, and she tells him that she's joined up. And this is her commanding officer, Red, the dude with the mustache, the 70s porn stash. And what's significant about this story is the way the characters relate to their world. So here's Gray having that shootout, sort of a samurai duel, and the soldier's helmet gets blown off. So here's the soldier's helmet on this page, and then here he's back talking to Lips. And what's so significant about this is the way these kids, they're in their 20s, relate to the world. And it really becomes apparent here. So in the second novel, this is Gray getting back to his unit. He's the only survivor. This is his 14th campaign. Campaigns are like a week out in the field where you face off with the enemy soldiers. And I'm not going to spoil this and tell you what it's all about, but basically here's a new team. They've requisitioned 2 soldiers because 2 guys got killed on the last campaign, but the guy in the box, the man in the chair, only gives them 1 Class C. You start off as Class E and you work your way up to Class A. So Gray is essentially a sergeant on his way to Master Sergeant or Gunnery Sergeant. And These guys have asked for 2 soldiers, but this guy over here, the droid from the waist down, is only giving them gray because he's a very accomplished soldier. And so here we have scenes sort of in the rear while they're getting ready for the next campaign. And all the soldiers are, all the other characters are talking to Gray about his experience. One second, this is making a lot of noise, I'm sure. Sorry about that. So all these other soldiers are asking Gray about his experience. They want to know about him, how he's going to help them, what he's going to do to get them through this campaign. Some of them, it's their first campaign, and they're nervous, but they're also already really excited about how they're going to spend their credits that they earn. And, oh, this will be worth so many credits, and this will be, they're basically spending their pay before they've got it. You know, it's kind of like playing the lottery and imagining what you do with the winnings, but you never win. It really does relate to our modern society where people are, you know, cashing, what is it called? Counting their chickens before they hatch. These are all the new characters that Gray's going to go out and be in the field with. So here we have, they're out in the field and the enemy is approaching. And they're trying to draw up battle plans. And the commanding officer's name is Hawk. And he gives Gray some commands, and Gray immediately talks back and shoots down his ideas. Because Hawk is doing some of the same things that other soldiers have done that have gotten Gray's teams killed. And he's like, I just don't follow stupid orders. So here we have some action, some blowing up stuff, and basically most of Gray's team is killed. Because they're unprepared. And they have crazy ideas about how it's going to go. This is something young people do. You just envision success. You're not necessarily prepared for all the ways everything can go wrong. Gray's character, his character is a little more attuned to that. He's not out to win, he's just out to survive. And he doesn't even care about the credits. Everyone else is focused on the credits. Gray is focused on the fight. Everyone else is focused on how they're going to spend their winnings, but Gray is focused on how he's going to win. And that's a significant difference. And that's a lot of the kind of nonsense going on today. More just amazing artwork. And I really love this book. It ends up with pretty much the entire team being killed. Gray's girlfriend Lips had already been killed, and that was how he ended up joining. He's wearing her helmet. She was killed on her first campaign. And so here's Gray, he's the lone survivor. And this is 9 issues of this. I don't know what we'll do after this, but I'm going to be staying away from Marvel for a while. I'm really disgusted. I feel robbed. I feel lied to. And I suppose that's, par for the course, regardless. Please check out Legacy of a Mad Scientist here on YouTube. Legend of Ashley Fox, Trials of Ash. 2 13-hour stories. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world today, and I just more and more don't want to be part of it.